slightly different rules for international travel. 7 kilogram limit, so basically a Nikon Z9. I should mention that it's hot, muggy, and I'm sweating like I'm being audited. Today I'm going to talk about what's in my camera bag, what's working out, and what's not working out so well. I'm using the Kiboko 16-liter backpack. It's lightweight, highly organized, and very durable. Let's start off with my tripod. This is actually my secondary tripod. I like to have it around because my wife uses a phone, and this thing has a really nice phone holder. The only downside is that it's not quite rugged enough for me. You hear that noise? But other than that, this is my backup when my wife's not using it's not tall enough, kind of like the Asian that plays basketball. Onwards onto my main tripod, which is the Joby GorillaPod 3K Pro. It's easy to mount, it's flexible, it's durable, like a life partner. Wow. Cliche? Sure, but I don't know if the alternatives. If you know, let me know in the comments. It works, I live with it, and I move on, like a life partner. What else is in my bag? The laptop I use is the MacBook Air M1. What can I say? It works wonderfully. It sips on power, ultra long battery life, very fast. Can't complain. The update process for Sony cameras can be a pain in the rear, and I'll make a future video addressing that issue. To hook up my peripherals, I have this CalDigit dongle. It's fast, efficient, and enough for my work purposes. This Samsung drive is for backups. Words to the camera, I currently own the Panasonic GH6, the Sony a7 IV, and the camera I went with. However, before I reveal what camera I went with, I want to state the reason why I went with this camera over the others. Familiarity, home, safe space. The a7S III happens to be the most powerful of the bunch when it comes to video, which I'm doing mostly, with photos being incidental family snaps. Hey, come here. I hope you don't bite. Owning and using this camera for the past 2 years, I have the utmost confidence in the Sony a7S Mark III, unlike this chair. Next up, I'm going to talk about my lenses, starting off with the two most used lenses. First off is the 10-18, which I'm using to film right now. The range is pretty nifty. You can start off at 12 and zoom in all the way to 18, and then clear image zoom all the way to 28 millimeters. So yeah, I like this lens. It's small, it's lightweight, it's f4, gets the job done. An ultra-wide lens can really exaggerate the scene, and it's easy to work in tight spaces, and it shows off your background very well. Next is my standard zoom. I picked out the 16 to 50 APS-C lens. I chose this over the 28 to 60 because of the smooth zooming feature. However, it probably wasn't the best choice I've made, like having kids. It does have some redeeming values. It's small, lightweight, inexpensive, and it extends when energized. Keep in mind, on the a7S Mark III, you are downsized to 1080p, and here are the results. This is a f3.5 to 5.6 lens, so I try to stay at this widest angle where it's at f3.5 for the best results. Next up are my primes, starting with the Sony 24mm f2.8 Compact G. If you haven't caught my theme by now, I like to keep things small, like an undersized Asian child small. The quality in low light is good enough for me. That's just my opinion. What about yours? Let me know in the comments. As an alternative for those that can handle a little bit more weight and size, the Samyang 24 f1.8, the Sigma 24 f2, they're only a little bit bigger, they're one stop faster, and they cost less. The Sigma 90mm f2.8 Contemporary, cinema in a pocket. Even air-dried laundry looks cinematic. And just my luck, it's raining. The alternative for the Sigma 90 f2.8 is the Samyang 75 f1.8. It's a little bit shorter in focal length, longer in actual length. The Sony 85 f1.8, it's just a little bit larger, a little bit heavier. However, it does give you a stop more light. With this pair, I could do nearly everything. I simply keep one lens in the pocket and the other on the camera. Now let's go over audio accessories, starting with my microphone. This is my primary microphone when I'm just running and gunning. I don't want to mic up people or have to record lots of people. I use the Sony ECM B1M. I got it since the beginning. I love it. Just put it on auto and put it on the camera. No wires and you're ready to go. So it's very fast. Next up is the Rode Wireless Go 2. This is my primary. Even though I do have a secondary kit, I don't feel like I need to bring two wireless transmitters when I'm traveling, when I'm ready to go and I have time to set it up. Next up, my camera is dangling, and it's because it's being clipped onto the Peak Capture V3. So that's what I use to handle my camera. It holds my camera when I'm walking around these public spaces. It gets the job done. It's solid, and I'll compare it to the Falcam F38 system in a future video. I'm using a single USB-C charger that powers everything. My kid stole it from me. And I'm using these Nightcore batteries. As you can see, when you press the button, there's a status. This one's depleted. I have to recharge it. And I have a squid cable that I use to charge up a bunch of devices at the same time. Charges up 2 Rode mics, charges up 2 batteries. So that's 4 devices, and it only occupies 1 USB-A slot. Let's talk about the drawbacks. The 1650. It just seems like the image quality overall, it's maybe not as sharp, it's maybe not as defined, and it has a harder problem drawing out the colors. I don't know, it just seems a bit lower standard compared to when I'm using a Prime or even the 10 to 18. By the way, the 10 to 18, I'm using it in full frame mode if that wasn't clear. So it does seem to work very well. The 10 to 18 is an APS-C lens, and sometimes I miss having the APS-C range. However, that's mainly due to improper planning. If I go somewhere where I take the 10 to 18 and let's say I'm out in public with large open spaces, I'm better off with the standard zoom at that point. The gas is saying that the 16 to 35 is the better lens and the right one for me. However, I'd be lying to say that I am not enjoying this lens. Going to 12 millimeters is pretty darn crazy. And this lens is lightweight, has OSS, it's sharp. What more can you want? The 16 to 50, it needs a replacement for sure. I don't know what lens yet, but I'll decide when I get back. To wrap this up, I have 2 zooms, 2 primes, 2 microphones, 2 tripods, 2 batteries, and the big cherry on top is the Sony ecosystem. If Sony gave me something like this Rode mic without the cable, with the digital interface shoe, with the audio levels, auto audio levels, it would be really hard to even look at other competitors because the ecosystem just makes things so much easier, so convenient when you're on location or on destination. The A7S III has been an absolute legend. There are some things that I wish I had, like shutter angle of the GH6 waveforms and the recording options. And from the A7 IV, I would love to have focus map, focus breathing compensation, and the better overall controls. But at the end of the day, the bitrate efficiency, the frame rates, the rolling shutter performance, the reliability, it sold me on this camera. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video or at least found it entertaining. If you guys have your own setups, leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.